Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. It's good to have you once again and to be sharing some wonderful insights today on another topic of extreme importance that you will see can have a significant difference on the quality of your life going forward from here on. I hope that everyone is enjoying another infinitely extraordinary, wonderful day here on spaceship planet Earth and enjoying the ride, whatever that might be looking like for you. And I know we've been going through some, let's put it this way, interesting time as of late, and there's been a lot of friction and so on, but wherever there is friction, there is always opportunities to create something new, something better, to transform whatever is not working into something new that's working in a better, more empowering, more inclusive, and more wonderful, joy-filled way. And I hope that this is what we're gonna be able to do through this conversation today, or at least I'll be able to give you the tools, ideas, and inspiration that you can start this transformative work in your own life from here on, because you wouldn't be here if that wasn't your desire. The topic of today's discussion is that of how to become the best version of yourself. Now, I must say that this is a very loaded topic and there's a lot of different points we're going to take a look at and ideas and methods and so on. But fundamentally, to begin, you need to ask yourself, just like I've done a long time ago, why do you want to become the best version of yourself? Why? And this is extremely important, because if your why is not strong enough, you will find reasons to give up when the going gets tough. And if you are really to become the best version of yourself, you can count on some heavy winds, obstacles, and challenges that will show up in your life to provide you with the opportunity you need to become the best version of yourself. So your why is of extreme importance, because your why will enable you, will empower you to break through your limitations. And we'll go into this in more detail a bit later. But first, to get back on the question, why do you want to become the best version of yourself? And here's the trick. When you ask yourself this question, go at least 7 to 10 levels deep, meaning you ask once why, you have your answer, then using that same answer is, why do I want to do this? And you go deeper and deeper and deeper until you reach a level where it's no longer your rational, logical mind making up the answers. It's your heart, it's your soul that's talking to you. And this is where the magic lies within, because once you have a why that's so strong and powerful that just every time you connect to it, fills you up with this energy of excitement, of this emotion, and just makes you feel alive, then you know why. And when the going gets tough, you don't any longer feel like, ah man, life is hard. You actually enjoy it because you know that this is helping you get there. You look at it as an opportunity that gives you the wings you need to fly. Because imagine now a little bird trying to get to live its nest, right? The comfort of its nest. Birds are meant to fly, and most nests are high above. So the bird can either kill itself in a lot of respects or seriously injure itself if it's unable to fly from the first time, because there are no parachutes, there are no safety nets, right? It's just, you either fly or you don't. So having this strong why will give you the push to jump and fly from the first time when you have to. So think about it. work on it. Take your journal, and once the video is done, or maybe pause it now, because generally speaking, this is a deep self-reflecting exercise that's going to take you some time. I don't recommend rushing through it. I actually recommend taking your time with it and living it for later. So write it down. Why do I want to become the best version of myself? And then go 7, 10 layers deeper to the point where you know it's your heart talking to you. It's your soul speaking. It's your soul's mission. No longer talking about logic and rationale. Because you're not trying to convince anyone. You're trying to find the fuel that will get you there, because your rational, logical mind will be the first thing when the going gets tough that will be giving you the rational justification why it's better for you to quit and give up. That's why we don't want to rely on logic and rationale for you to convince yourself logically to get in and do what's necessary, to do the work and be in that process. You want to connect to a deeper emotion that lives in your heart, that comes directly from your higher self, from yourself, from your soul, from your true self. So work on this again later on. So moving on. Here is an inspirational quote I want you to think about that at least inspires me, and I feel is very much in alignment with what we were just discussing. And this is that it's a favorite quote of mine by Dyer, which states, "Don't die with your music still inside you or in you." Meaning, like, we're all brought to this world because we have something to give. And unless we give it, our existence here, our birth, our life would be a waste of time, would be a waste of energy, would be just pointless, literally. So the next step we're going to go from here on is how we actually find what our music is, or what are we here all about. But first, let's think about another question, right? Because questions are the steering wheel of the mind. And by using open-ended, powerful question, we can steer our subconscious mind to find answers to very complex answers, especially if we know how to use it. Because the moment we put in or input a question within our subconscious mind, it goes into the background and starts to do some digging for us. And the key is to let go. Meaning, you input the question and you let go. You don't wait for it to return you the answer right away. Maybe sometimes it is, but maybe sometimes it's a month down the road. Maybe even longer, maybe a week down the road, maybe even hours. Who knows? You don't know. The key is trusting and knowing that it will return to you with an answer. You just let it do its work. Because if you just sit down and have all this regurgitation of thoughts, of thinking, here's the thing. One very important insight and distinction to take away. There are many, but this is one very important when it comes down to thinking. If you cannot think of something with your logical, intellectual, rational mind in this very moment, thinking more about it will not bring you the answer. Because if you could have thought about it already, you would have thought about it. It's as simple as that. That's why you input a question to your subconscious mind, you let go, and you leave it to its own ways of finding you the answer. You just go about your day and continue as you go. So the next question we're going to ask ourselves to go even deeper is, how would we know if we are becoming or have become the best version of ourselves? How would we know? What would be our measurement stick? Right? Because unless you measure something or something is measured, it cannot be improved because you have no starting point of reference. So we want to take a detailed look within ourselves and be very self-honest and be, maybe this is an aspect of myself that is not great yet. Maybe this is an aspect of my personality. Maybe it's an aspect of my character. Maybe it's something about my health. Maybe it's about emotions. Maybe it's how I relate to others. Maybe it's my professional world and so on. Maybe it's how good I am at something that I know I'm really good, but I haven't put the time yet to really master and so on. This is an extremely important place to start from, because once we know, we've evaluated where we stand, we know where we start from and where we need to focus on. So that's a very important question to ask ourselves. And then the next point I'm going to make is actually even going to make this more clear and give you a lot more sense and depth into what exactly to look for within you when you ask this question. And that is, what are your innate gifts and talents? Again, just as Wayne Dyer in his quote, "Don't die with your music still in you." What were you brought here to give? What are your gifts? What is your message? What is your song? What is your music you're meant to play? Think of yourself as a music instrument. There is a composition that has been specifically composed by a higher intelligence for you to play through this instrument called your body, your consciousness, your emotions, and so on. You're here to perform this for the rest of humanity and the world to enjoy. Maybe you know, maybe not yet. Maybe there are some clues, but I will help you get some more clues and think about this, because again, this is a very deep level of self-work, right? Where you reflect and introspect and so on, and you start to see and connect the dots going backwards from this point, because there'll be enough evidence in your life. As long as you're self-aware and you keep your eyes open and your mind open to it, there's going to be a lot of evidence, and it comes in different ways. So for the first thing to think about or notice is, what are things that you do without having to put any effort, in a sense like you don't feel like you're doing an effort, even though it might be a hard work. And for somebody looking from the side, it's like, wow, how do you do this? But to you, it feels like effortless. What are those things? Think about this. What are things that you do that people compliment you about? What are things that people constantly come back to you for? Favors and so on, right? Specific type of favors. Think about this. What are things that you would do regardless if you get paid or not? Right? Things you actually enjoy that fulfills you. And then what are things that you do that after you've done, you feel more energized than when you began doing? For me, for example, right now, recording this video is like, by the time I'm done, even though it'll be late at night, I'll be still like, wow, I have so much energy, I can go again for I don't know how long. Like, so there are certain things that we are brought here to perform, again, as an instrument to perform a composition that energizes, that fulfill us, that pump us up with all this energy, with excitement, with this, like, we just get lit up the moment we started doing. So think about these things. Again, what are things that friends come to you for all the time? What are things that people compliment you about? Certain skills, so on and so on. A lot of times, if you cannot think of it this way, if you cannot at least recall your childhood, there's a lot of clues there, because all these early or real innate talents and gifts usually are highly expressed in childhood, and then after we kind of get brainwashed through schooling and all that nonsense and social programming, we kind of like, put to the side, like kind of like, oh, this is, it's not a serious career. Yeah, you have to be serious to succeed in life. bull fucking shit. Have you seen the people that are very serious and successful? They probably have a third heart attack already, or been divorced 33 fucking times, and who the fuck cares? I mean, not to talk down at them, but when you make the game of life, now, like, listen to what I'm saying, the game of life, life is a game. It's not some serious thing to take very seriously. The more serious you take it, the more miserable and stagnant and just full of pain and suffering in your life becomes. If you look at it if you twist things around and all you start looking at is, it's a game. And we're here to play, learn and grow, not to be serious. Because all games become extremely boring and annoying when they become very serious. And when their people are caught up in just like they forgot it's a game and they think it's like a matter of life and death. And even if it was, trust me, this is neither your first nor your last life. You're going to be coming back into this game and to this earth school many, many, many times more, to learn many more lessons and to deliver more gifts and more gifts. So think about this, right? Take some time. The question I asked you before, think about your talents and gifts. Really put some time, dedicate an hour or two, maybe a whole afternoon, grab your journal, go in the park or an area that just really fuels your heart and lets you relax and get in the state of flow where you, no distractions, no phones, no people bothering you, no music, no nothing. You just get into your flow and you can really go deep within yourself and answer those questions for yourself and do some heavy, deep level of self-reflection and introspection to start seeing things about yourself that maybe you've not seen before, or hopefully you have. If you have, then that's even greater. Now, if you're clear on what these gifts are, then let's double up on them. Let's accelerate your way to mastery. And I'm gonna talk about this specifically as we go forward into the talk. But going to the next point is follow your bliss. Seriously, follow your bliss. These things that really energize you, that pump you up, the things that you enjoy, because at the end of the day, you came naked into this world and you're gonna leave naked. You don't even get to keep your body because it doesn't belong to you. It was something given to you when your soul entered this reincarnation of life. Now, this is an advanced level of consciousness, but this is part of the growth journey that our soul is here to have, to realize its own divine nature and divinity and unity and oneness with all there is. So we don't get to keep our body even, right? We get to leave it behind when we go and enter another state of being once this lifetime is over. So accumulating stuff is not necessarily the most effective thing to do, because no matter how much stuff you have, you're not going to get to keep any of it and bring it back into your next lifetime. This is not a build your nest kind of game and then come back for it next time. You restart and you get back into it. It's not about accumulation. It's about unfoldment and expression of this innate desire within your soul to expand, to unfold, to truly realize again its own divinity and oneness with all there is. Because that's the ultimate goal of this game of life, to reunite with the one thing there is, and that is just is. It's an ineffable word, but some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it infinite intelligence. Well, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to use, there is just one thing that gives birth to all there is. And all there is just an individuation of this same thing that returns back to it eventually. And this is the journey of our soul, returning back to source. So why am I saying this? Because if you have this realization at this point, or have you have had some intuitive hits or some deeper moments where you kind of saw life from a different perspective, you'll realize that no matter how much stuff you get, how much achievement you achieve, and so on and so on, none of those things will ever bring you lasting real fulfillment and really give you that joy that just lives from within, that is just that you wake up jumping from your bed because you get to do this wonderful thing that you love to do so much. When was the last time you were in that state? I hope you are in this state all the time, but most of the time that's not the case, and that's rarely the case for people that have achieved a lot, gathered a lot, but are still empty on the inside, because I was there myself many years before I started my transformational journey and doing this heavy, deep self-work and introspection and so on, and dissecting and transforming my life, myself, my thoughts, my beliefs, my mindsets, and everything like that. Because fulfillment is a product of two fundamental things: growth and contribution. If you're doing these two things in your life, regardless of your level of wealth and financial well-being, you will be fulfilled. And I would take fulfillment any day and any point and any minute of time over wealth and misery. Because you cannot buy wellness and fulfillment with money. A lot of people have tried, but they went to their grave with all their crap, miserable and lonely. Now again, there's nothing wrong with being wealthy because you've delivered wealth, you've delivered value to people. But think of it this way: if you find that one thing that you are brought here to do, or those handful of things that relate to your gifts and so on, and you organize it in a way where you can actually add tremendous value to people's lives, you will be well off no matter what, because money is nothing but the exchange of value. And by tapping into your greatest innate gifts, you will be delivering the greatest possible value that you can possibly be. And not only would you be very well off and rewarded and compensated times over, you will be fulfilled. And again, what are you here for? To accumulate crap, which eventually you cannot take away with you. Again, you don't even get to keep your body. If anything, you come naked into this world, given a body, and you leave even without it. So the only thing left is the lessons your soul was able to learn and how you touched all the other souls that you got to interact in this game of life. So think about this thing. Let's shortcut your success, your soul's long-term success, not thinking about, oh, maybe this 10 years, 20 years, this lifetime. No. You know, the truth is, who knows? We might have been here, me, you, and everyone else, their soul's reincarnation has been for millions and not billions of years. We've been in this game of life many, 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 many times before. Maybe not necessarily as human beings, maybe as other creatures, lower forms of life in the sense of the lower level of consciousness, because this is, again, what nature and evolution has been doing for billions of years, evolving the levels of consciousness within us. And ultimately, again, returning back home to source, to our own, to our one Father, to that one thing we have different words for, but represents the same thing, regardless of your race, origin, language, and so on, right? Now, obviously, if Growth and contribution are the two fundamental aspects of fulfillment, or what leads to fulfillment. Then let's focus first on growth. And how can you really adopt the mindset of growth, or create, adopt, and take advantage of a growth mindset versus the exact opposite, which is a fixed mindset? Generally speaking, when it comes down to growth, learning, developing, and so on in one's lifetime, there are two predominant mindsets. One is called the growth mindset, and the other one, the opposite, is the fixed mindset. Now, I'll give you some examples of people with fixed mindset. Hopefully you're not one of them, because you're probably not going to be watching this video, but you've met many of them. A fixed mindset is simply someone who thinks they already know everything. They're basically an expert in everything. Anything you ask them about, they know it all. They understand it all. But when you look at their life, there is no evidence of that, right? They only know it in their rational justifications. They can talk a lot, and always know it all, even though they probably never open even a book about it, or are extremely ignorant about most facts, because that's a fixed mindset is based on ignorance. Because the moment you become curious about a subject, regardless of what it is, I'm a very curious person. I've been curious all my life, and every time I get curious about something, I get overwhelmed once I start doing my initial research into that subject, and I start to see the depth, how deep this rabbit hole goes to. Like, there is no end to it, right? So ignorance in a lot of regards is one of the main contributions to a fixed mindset. Somebody who's very ignorant of the depth of knowledge there is, wisdom, insight, and experience in any aspect of life, in any topic in life, tends to be an expert, but just when they haven't been exposed to the depth of it, because they're just kind of like ignoring the facts. Because the mind has a very interesting tendency to erase out of memory the things that don't align with a person's belief. So if you have a belief that, let's say, something is impossible, which is a very destructive belief to have, because I will give you one of the most empowering beliefs you can ever hold on to, because again, your beliefs create your reality. And if you believe that everything is absolutely possible and you're fully capable of it, then what is impossible? Let's even look at the word. Impossible can be translated, or if you write the word letter by letter, you will see that it actually spells out I am possible. Isn't that interesting? So if you believe that something is possible, you will find a way, because all you have to do is ask your subconscious mind the question and let it be, let it go, and it does what it needs to do, and eventually give you an answer of how to go about it. So taking this and adopting the growth mindset means that you start to see life as one big school. You're here to learn and grow. And every challenge, every obstacle, every whatever you want to call it, problem, complication, situation, and so on in your life is nothing but a priceless opportunity to learn and grow. It's a project. Rather than problems, starts to see projects that you can work on. Projects that lead to insights, lessons, gifts. And your mission then becomes to find the gift in that project, rather than allowing it to stop you. So adopting that growth mindset that we are here to grow, we are here to learn. And there is so much we can learn. So much we can learn. Again, there are so many levels of distinctions and nuances to everything. The more you start going deeper into a rabbit hole, the more tunnels you get to see, because it's not just one tunnel. You can go in all these various directions and you can literally get lost and sometimes even feel overwhelmed at the beginning. But again, this is a process. You have to become comfortable with this process of growth. It's not a place to get to. It's a process. It's part of why we're here in life. It's not to graduate school and check out, but rather to continuously grow and expand. By adopting this growth mindset again, now you come into the world from a very empowered place where, again, no longer any challenge, obstacle, or problem is seen by you as such, but rather you see it as an opportunity. You see it as a blessing, because the universe, the God, the creator, the infinite intelligence has provided you with the lesson you will need in order to continue to grow, to expand to who you can possibly be and get closer to being the best version of yourself. And why is this growth mindset important? Well, if you're able to realize what your innate gifts are and you continue to grow, obviously you can be, or the contribution you can make is even greater. And by continuously growing and expanding or increasing the amount of contribution you have, you will be fulfilled and blissed out in your life and live from this place of excitement to wake up every morning and go and do what you do and see how people respond and react to the things you do, to the value add in their lives. And even if it's just a handful of people, doesn't matter, right? Because it's once you've been at that place where you've experienced this joy that comes when you serve and do something for someone else, and you see the joy and gratitude in their eyes, nothing that you do for yourself would ever give you the same level of fulfillment, besides, again, if it's something that relates to your growth. If you're actually stretching yourself and allowing your soul to expand and unfold to your next level of greatness, rather than catering to your comfort. Because again, yeah, you can go buy yourself a newer car, a new apartment, and this and that. And what happened next? A day later, a week later, a month later, at the most, the novelty has worn off. And you're like back to the same place where you were emotionally, mentally, and so on. The only thing changed is your level of comfort. But do you jump excited out of bed about this thing again? No, it's just something you have. It's just stuff. More stuff in your life. Who cares? But when you find that one thing that you're truly here for, that song, that composition you're meant to play, then this whole perspective changes, and the way you approach life is just so dramatically changing. Your quality of life goes from ×1 to an order of ×10, regardless of where you are. Because now you're coming into the world from a very different place. I hope that this is making sense and resonating with you as we go deeper. Now, the next important factor, especially when it comes down to the growth mindset and what I stated already as one of the most empowering beliefs you can ever adopt, that everything is absolutely possible and you're fully capable of it, is that All limitations are psychological. They're literally things we just think that we can do. We believe that we can't, and because we believe, they become impossibility for us. But just as I said earlier, if we are to spell and look deeply into the word impossible, you will see that it clearly states, I am possible. And if we know now that all limitations are psychological, we've removed the veil of like, oh yeah, all this the justification and so on. And we know that it's only our psychology in the way between us breaking through whatever this limitation or barrier is to the next thing. Then all we have to do is think outside of the box. Now, I'm going to share with you two very powerful quotes. One I share with almost all of my videos, which to me is a fundamentally important quote. Whether you think you can or you think you can, you are right. This is a quote by Henry Ford that, in my opinion, is timeless. Because again, the moment you believe that something is impossible, that's it, it's impossible. But the moment you believe that it is possible, then you will find a way to make it possible. Just like many pioneers in, you name it, what areas of science, of business, of exploration, of anything have done before and will continue to do, because our technological advancement is that much. There is so much. There's a vast universe for us to explore, and there are so many new technologies that we just need to expand our thinking to be able to reverse engineer and use, such as reversing gravity, or being able to manage the effects of gravity. So instead of using rockets or any propulsion rocket technology to propel ourselves from point A to point B, we can just literally, by removing gravity or a weight of an object, just travel to the other end of the universe for free and draw energy from the cosmos. So we don't rely on fossil fuels, solar panels, and none of this outdated stuff. We directly grab the energy from the force field, because everything, every single thing we see that is material is nothing but a condensation of energy. Nothing but a condensation of energy. What do I mean? It's just energy at a slower rate of vibration, so it appears to be solid, to sit in one spot. But without the energy behind it, it won't be there. And all of this universe that we see that has so much, they call emptiness, or the vacuum of space, there is no such thing as vacuum. It's all sustained in energy. But that's a topic of a very deep discussion on cosmological concepts, and not necessarily concepts. They're very ancient truths that the sages for centuries and millions of thousands of years have talked about and known about. Because I had a very long time ago, when I was a young man, I had a very philosophical realization. This came directly from my intuitive claircognizance, or my intuitive ability to know truth or tap into higher or infinite intelligence and draw information from it, that told me, or the realization in my mind was that throughout our universe, because everything revolves in patterns, everything is obvious, and we can spot and see those patterns and make sense of everything. However, our modern world is overloaded with a lot of distraction, a lot of things that keep our minds preoccupied thinking about 100,000 different things at all times, and then you have your cell phone and you have people and so on and so on. If you had the silence and just space in your mind to sit down and observe nature for days at a time, you will start to see, know and learn things that probably you wouldn't be able to see in a lifetime or realize, just because your attention has been stolen by all these distractions, and you cannot see what is right in front of your eyes, because our mind has a very particular tendency and strength, which is to recognize those patterns. This is how scientists and philosophers and all kinds of sages throughout and mystics throughout the centuries have been able to recognize universal principles and laws in nature, and to reverse engineer so we can use them today and send people to the moon, or have this conversation right now through the internet, or me recording my videos and so on, right? It's all being based on this very fact that someone noticed something that was already there. They didn't invent or create anything. It was already there. They just noticed it and found a way to reverse engineer it so we can use it and take advantage of this already existing thing in the environment, whatever it was. So going with this and stepping forward from the growth mindset and realizing that all limitations are psychological, then the next logical step is to create an empowered psychology. Psychology that empowers you, that enables you to thrive in any situation, because you come again from this place knowing that everything is absolutely possible and you are fully capable of it. Now, there's a few more beliefs I want to add to there, and there are many more, but these are the set of 4 that to me are the fundamental ones that an empowered psychology can be structured around. Because an empowered psychology is a topic with much depth and nuances, and if you guys are interested, actually there is great load of information on this subject in my previous episode on self-empowerment. So I do recommend you watching that episode to go in depth into the subject of empowered psychology and self-empowerment. But here are the beliefs. I already stated the first one, so let's go to the next one. The next belief is that the universe is a benevolent place and has secretly conspired to keep you happy, healthy, wealthy, successful, loved, and desired. Now, if this is one of your beliefs, think how empowered and how excited you'll be to wake up every morning knowing that there is this higher intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, out there that have made sure that you are taken care of. And no matter what happens in your life, it's just, again, it's an opportunity for you to learn and grow. It's a lesson that you actually need to learn, that you have to go through. It's not to harm you, but to educate you and to empower you even more. Now, moving on from here is the next belief, which is there are infinite possibilities available at any point in time, meaning that there is not only one way to go about and do anything, or there is not just, if you are thinking about something and you want to manifest something, don't be very strict and rigid about how it shows up or what shows up. It will be this or better. There are infinite possibilities available at all times. There are infinite lifelines that you can be on. Infinite manifestations of the same thing. So have an open mind. Don't be rigid in your ideas of how things should happen. Stay focused on the what, meaning that what you want. Whatever is your North Star, rather than how it shows up. The how is none of your business. Cheers to that. And the final belief is that abundance, wealth, and prosperity are your omnipresent and most natural birthright and state. Meaning that you are born with wealth, well-being, prosperity, and abundance in your life. Because here is an interesting question to ask yourself, or just something to think about, right? If you are born, and the moment you were conceived, those 9 months before you were actually born, everything for you was taken care of, wasn't it? You are in a nice warm place, people are feeding you, and so on and so on. So if you're brought into this world, while everything is being taken care of you, why should things be different from then on? Isn't that interesting? When you start thinking about it, we're all brought into this world with everything being provided for us. The ideal conditions. And then we enter the world and we start getting bombarded with different messages, right? Social conditioning and so on, and someone else's idea of what life should be, and what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, all these like labels and nonsense that people want to give us because we kids, we kind of like, we don't know shit. Shit, really. Is that right? I wonder who knows more. Right? Because it's when you're a child that most children ask those big questions that most grown-ups kind of still like, even though they pretend they like to know things or think they know things or whatever they pretend to be, they have no answers for themselves and most likely haven't asked themselves, or if they have, was when they were children and forgot that they are curious about and kind of like, buried and forgot about and just kept getting serious and moving on in life towards the point of no return, right? Towards mental constipation, because that's what happened when once you become too serious, you become mentally constipated. You just regurgitating. You like, think of it this way: your mind turns into this washing machine that is kind of like locked up. You cannot open the door and you cannot shut it off. So it's just like whatever clothes you threw in there earlier, they've been just rotating the same shit, whatever, for infinitesimal amounts of time. Just you have the rotation and regurgitation of the same nonsense. And I don't know, I only feel sorry for those who are stuck in this position, but there's always something you can do. You can break the glass and let the goddamn thing flow, but anyways, that's just something to think about, that bringing too much seriousness in this game of life just makes you constipated and full of misery and pain. It just cannot go wrong with bringing playfulness and fun and just this joy of life and curiosity into your life. So again, developing unempowered psychology, or creating a psychology that enables you to thrive regardless of the challenges and circumstances in your external environment, because at the end of the day, it's your external environment that's going to bring you those things. As long as your internal environment or your inner world, which is what this talk is all about, helping you or giving you the tools and ideas to start shaping your real internal world, because that's the true world. Everything happens within. What's outside doesn't matter. It's just a little show that's happening on TV. Just like when you go on in the cinema and you sit down and watch this projection on the screen. Yeah, it's very interesting and exciting, but once the projection is over and the screen is shut off, there's nothing left on the screen, and you kind of like, oh yeah, it was exciting for an hour and a half, but now, yeah, let's get back to my reality and way of being, right? You were transferred or transported emotionally and mentally for a certain amount of time, for a period in this, and absorbed into this motion picture. But then the motion picture is over. You see the titles and everything at the end, and okay, you're back to where you were, right? So shaping this inner world, cultivating this very rich inner world that can only give birth to amazing fruit or plants, or however you want to term it, or flowers, right? Basically to create this amazing, amazing rich garden, rich in colors, rich in smells, rich in flavor, and so on and so on. That is the key when we talk about creating an empowered psychology, because we want to become our own psychologists in a sense, where again, nothing in our external reality changes our inner way of being. Because at the end of the day, and this is also a talk, if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend watching, is my talk on emotional intelligence, which will go deeper into this very essential insight and knowledge that we experience emotions within us, which means that nothing outside of us is making us feel anything. It's our perception and meaning that we create in any event that makes us feel certain ways. Meaning that we are making us feel a certain way. And let's say whatever is happening in the external environment is the inspiration for it, but it's not causing us directly to feel it or to experience whatever emotion we are subject of. An event is just an event. That's it. Case closed. The meaning and perception, or our position in this event, is what truly creates the emotion we experience. So it's our doing. And if we know how to adjust and tweak the settings, then we know how to feel anything. And avoid feeling, or not necessarily avoid, but transform the feelings that we do not necessarily want to experience, which gives us a tremendous amount of empowerment. So I do recommend watching this video to go and get some more depth on how do we work with emotions, how do we create the emotions we want, and how do we avoid the ones that we don't. And not necessarily avoid, but how we transform them, how do we disarm them, because we don't want to avoid them. Avoiding an emotion is not a healthy thing to do. Because, just to close this loop, avoiding an emotion will cause you an emotion with the equal amount of intensity, a similar emotion, just by avoiding an emotion. So that's why avoiding an emotion is a highly ineffective way to go about it. However, transforming it or disarming it is the key, especially when it's a negative one, because obviously we don't want to take away pleasant and wonderful emotions that we actually want to experience more of. Because in a lot of regards, all human behavior, all human action is always driven by the desire to experience or the expectation that you will feel a certain way after the fact that this have happened, because it's based on another highly outdated model or belief. It's more of a model of reality called the if-then model, that you need something to happen in order for you to, the if-then, if this, then always is based on a very dysfunctional equation that something needs to happen in your life in order for you to feel this, meaning that to break it down, you just set a condition in your mind that says, only if this happens, then I will allow myself to feel this. That's it. It's as simple as I can put it into words. Because again, you feel it within. Nothing outside of you makes you feel things. But when you set this condition in your mind, then the only reason or the only way you will experience this emotion which you seek and desire to experience is if this happens. Because you've created this logical loop. And all you have to do is to remove it and just allow yourself to feel it. But again, I'll go a lot more deeper on this conversation and topic into one of my previous videos on emotional intelligence. So I do recommend watching that. I do recommend watching each and every one of the videos, because there's so many layers of information and just value and insights and wisdom that you can take right away and implement into your life, because that's my goal, to give you tools that you can take and use today. Now, as we are talking about empowered psychology, it's important thing to realize that when we want to achieve something, do something, and so on, there are always two types of goals. The fundamental or the most important goal is our end goal, or what do we truly want, right? As I said, going back a little bit earlier in the conversation what we need to be focused on is the what. What do we want, rather than how it shows up, right? All we need to be focusing on is on the what. So that's why we need to have a clear end goal. Like, I'm doing all these certain things and so on and so on, and I'm growing and so on and so on, but why, right? Like, what was your why? What is this goal, this end goal, this end result? Because the other types of goals are means goals, or those are goals, they're smaller goals that will lead us to this end goal. However, a lot of people get caught up in the means goals, right? They get all, again, serious and worried and overstressed that they couldn't achieve that means goal and lost sight of the North Star. Think of your ends goal or end goal as your North Star. You're a sailor, you're navigating through the ocean. You don't have a compass, all you have is the North Star. This is where you're sailing to. This is your destination. How you gonna get there? If you're gonna use this wind, or you're gonna use this ocean current or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? And how many turns and twists you have to take. You have a North Star. You sail towards your North Star. That's your destination. So it's the same with the means goals. Means goals are just different vehicles, different turns you can make along the way to make yourself get closer to your end goal. But they're not the goal. They're just means to get there, which means that, again, if you let go of this desire to control of what it is, and there are infinite possibilities available to us at all times, then there are infinite possibilities and ways for us to reach that end goal, to reach the North Star. So we don't have to, let's say, if we try something and it doesn't work, doesn't mean go hard, try harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, and like try to force it. And like, maybe it work, but how long can you persevere with this type of way where you always have to push against the current? right? There's going to be a time that you're going to crumble. You're just going to get tired of this nonsense. You're going to get burned out. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be worried out and so on. What if you just, okay, you know, if this doesn't work, I gave it my best shot. I learned what I could. Okay, what's another opportunity? What other turn can I take? Right? How else can we play this out? There's always, again, various ways. If you're open to the possibility that there is another way, a more effective way to do it, this way will present itself to you. So always keep your eyes on your end goal. This is your focus. How do you get there? So asking, again, using the concept of questions are the steering mind of the are the steering wheel of the mind, then asking a question. What is a highly effective strategy that can take me closer to my end goal, which is right? Rather than, how do I get this end goal, means goal met, right? Like, no, these are just tactics, right? You have a strategy, which is, my strategy is to reach my end goal. Your means goals are the tactics you can use and implement to get there. But it's, you're not locked up to one. Yes, so many. Just like, for example, when it comes down to marketing, you can do online marketing, you can do print marketing, you can do mouth-to-mouth marketing. I mean, just there's so many tactics you can do and use. Just like in sports, if you're a fan of some sport, there are so many tactics and plays a team can play in any game, right? They have a clear strategy, but the way they will implement it tactically, that can be 1,000 different things. So don't get lost on the tactics. Stay focused on your strategy, on your end goal. Don't lose sight of your North Star. The rest is unimportant. Now, it's very essential to be able to step into your best self today. Once you already have a clear idea of, let's say, what your gifts are and how you can have the greatest contribution and how you can grow and so on, I want you to be able to live and be this person today, to step into this person's shoes today, to feel, to think, and do as your best self today. Not having to wait for one day in one God knows when, again, if then, right, if this happens, then I will be this and so on, or this needs to happen in order for me to say that I'm the best version of myself. This is a completely flawed, highly dysfunctional model of reality, the if-then model. Let's call it a day, erase it, and start changing things where you can be this now. You don't need anything to happen in order to you to allow yourself to be this person. You can allow yourself today to be the best version of yourself. And even if you don't know who this person is yet, be comfortable to be in this place of the unknown, of curiosity, of wow, who is this best self that I could be? Who is this greatest version of myself? Like, and just feel the way you want to feel. If you are to be fulfilled and just joyful and doing something you truly enjoy and you know it's making a difference in people's lives and so on, just allow yourself to think in this way, to feel in this way, to be and do in this way today. Not tomorrow. Don't delay. Just be this person today. Because that's how you actually, again, transform your internal world so your external world starts to fit your picture. Or will present you with the opportunities and the synchronicities and lessons you need to learn to actually become this person. Again, because the how is none of your business. The what is what you should be focused on. And if you're living as the best version of yourself every single day, well, very clearly, you know what your North Star is. So you're not losing sight of your North Star. You're actually living it, bringing it, knowing it very well every single day. Cheers to that. Like my favorite beverage, water. Again, transcend the if-then model. Become conscious of all of the areas in your life where this if-then model has actually rooted itself in. Every time that you have this if, then, and so on, like if this happens, or if I achieve this, or if I get the promotion, or if I get the girlfriend, or if I move to a new place, or this and this, no. Forget about this crap. Bullshit. All you have to do is to allow yourself to feel, think, and do and be in this way today. You don't have to wait for some moment into the foreseeable future or unforeseeable future. Who knows? Now, here's a very interesting thing I want you to also start familiarizing and understanding. And this is the 4 levels of mastery. Because now, let's say, or assuming that you have done the work and you have realized what your innate gifts are and how you can have whatever you feel the inspiration, through whatever inspiration you're feeling right now, you can have the greatest inspiration, whatever that channel or modality or business or whatever that could be you want to do. Then obviously, if you haven't up to this point really done any work to polish your gifts, this would be the next step. And there are 4 levels to mastery. So I want to talk about the subject. So I give you a lot of depth of how to go about building and developing these gifts so you can bring your greatest gifts to share, not just your gifts. So you can really take those gifts to the next level, to the level of genius, of brilliance, of prodigy, right? To become exceptional at delivering and sharing these amazing gifts that you are here to share with the world. So the first level of mastery is called unconscious incompetence, or meaning that you don't know what you don't know yet. You just have no clue, right? You are ignorant about something, about a subject. Now, this is, again, kind of like the state that most people with fixed mindset live for the rest of their life. And not just in one aspect of life, but pretty much all of them. They live in unconscious incompetence. They don't know what they don't know. The next step in this process to mastery is conscious incompetence, meaning that you realize, because you became curious about a subject, you realize how much there is for you to learn and how much you don't know. And where is the gap between you feeling that you know enough and where are you today? And here's the magic trick. Now, in this moment, when you become consciously incompetent about something, and let's say you start doing something about it, you start learning, you maybe take lessons and so on, it's normal for you to experience frustration in this moment, in this early stage, because you're just so overwhelmed. However, embrace this frustration. It's absolutely normal to feel this way and to have this, your fear of not being good enough. right? You're not cut for it, and so on. Kind of like your mind want to keep you nice and dandy and comfortable, not stepping outside of your comfort zone, and to give you all the validations why you should give up and why you're not meant for it, or maybe you're not as good as you thought, and so on. Bullshit. If you feel drawn to this and you really want to do it, embrace the frustration, because this frustration will help you to actually develop quicker, stronger neural connections within your brain for this new activity. Because whenever you are learning something new that you haven't done before, you haven't done enough of, there are new pathways that are built into your brain, into its networks of neurons, in order to be able to perform this new thing. All right? And whenever there is frustration, this process is accelerated and the connections are even stronger. So embrace this frustration that will show up and use it as your rocket fuel to reach a level of genius and greatness, especially this area of mastery, or this subject, this skill, whatever you're trying to master is actually in alignment with your innate gifts and talents. Then yeah, you can literally take it to a level of brilliance. You can literally be a genius if you put the time and effort into it, because the next step from here on would be in the mastery. The third step is called conscious competence, or meaning that you've done it to a certain amount of times, you know what you're doing, but when you do it, you have to be consciously thinking about it. It's kind of like when you first learn to drive a car, right? You know, there's a lot of things to coordinate. You have to pay attention and know the rules of the road. And then, especially if you're driving a car with stick shift or manual, you have to clutch, you have to change the gears, you have all many things. You need to put turn signals, you need to look in your mirrors. So you're always having to think about these things, right? And all it is that you continue to do it, continue to do it, continue to do it, and eventually you find yourself in that moment where you're no longer thinking about it. You're just doing it. It's almost on an autopilot, right? You reach a point when in your driving that you can easily drive almost with no hands. I'm not recommending this in no way, but I'm just saying that you can drive, you can talk on a phone or brush your teeth or make your hair or do other things, feed someone or drink water or whatever it is that you're doing, right? Stir your coffee. I'm obviously not, again, I'm not recommending taking your hands off the wheel, because you always want to be in control of your vehicle. But what I'm saying is you no longer have to think about what you're doing. You can do it so well that you don't think about it anymore, and that's why you can do all these other things. And this is the state of unconscious competence, or state of mastery. When you have mastered something, where it just literally happens automatically. You don't need to put any conscious thought into it. Your body and your mind know how to do it automatically, so you don't have to put any effort into it. It just happens, and you can easily do it and multitask, do other things. So this is where you want to take your innate talents and gifts to that level where you're so good at them. And you've done it so many times that you just automatically do it. You show up and you play that song that you're born to play. And that's a beautiful place to come from, again, because you'll be able to deliver your amazing gifts and share them with the world, and have a level of fulfillment, contribution, and growth that very few people ever will, if you start to do this work and work on this. One more thing that is extremely important. Again, I already mentioned the frustration. The other thing is that if you are constantly growing and expanding to become the best version of yourself again, and we already have discussed this, that life is a learning experience. We're here to learn and grow. Then you can imagine that stepping outside of your comfort zone is one of those elements. You cannot become your best self if you're always in your comfort zone, if you never step outside of your comfort zone, because there is no growth within your comfort zone. There is stagnation. So you always have to step outside of your comfort zone. And the amount of discomfort you can tolerate as you step outside of your comfort zone is the amount of progress or growth you're able to gain as you're doing it. So if you want to accelerate your growth and unfoldment, all you have to do really is to become comfortable being uncomfortable, or do not allow this feeling of uncomfort to hold you back to go and play full out. Because as long as you are not risking your life, which is something I completely do not recommend, but sometimes maybe it's the case. If you're an extreme athlete and you're doing whatever you're doing, backflips with motorcycles, or you're doing proximity flights with your wingsuit and whatever it is, right? That might be required in order for you to get your skill to the next level. But generally speaking, as long as whatever is taking you outside of your comfort zone doesn't necessarily require you putting your life on the line, then there is nothing for you to lose. All you have to do is overcome. And again, do not overcome, but disarm this feeling of discomfort when you step outside of your comfort zone. And I'll tell you how to do it, actually. It's a very simple trick. It's called psychological reframing, or we're just going to reframe it. And instead of feeling uncomfortable, which usually manifests within the body, gut area here, as this kind of like a unpleasant feeling, like these bubbles, these butterflies, whatever you call them, you're gonna say, instead of being nervous, right? Like usually that's what you're gonna say, oh, I feel nervous, or I feel anxious, and whatever. Anxiety is the emotion of growth, provided that it's not being avoided and restricted. So instead of trying to suppress it, avoid it, and feeling this, again, this feeling, because it's normal. The moment you step outside of your comfort zone, it's normal. This feeling will manifest itself. All I want you to do is to say, oh, I'm excited. That's it. You're reframing it from being scared, anxious, nervous, whatever. You turn it into excitement, because on all levels, psychologically, chemistry-wise, what's happening within your body, and so on, there is no difference in between. It's just how you choose to process it in your head, mentally. Like what meaning you will create. If you say you're excited, you will be excited. If you say you're nervous, you will be nervous. My question is, which one is more effective in your opinion? To be excited that you got the chance to step outside of your comfort zone and expand and grow, or do you feel nervous that, you're kind of like discomfortable now and you have to do this, right? Like, you see the difference. So this is how it's done. So become comfortable being uncomfortable by reframing what's happening and calling this emotion, this anxiety that's rising up within you, reframing it as an excitement, and using it and understanding it. And eventually this, how you're always going to process it from then on, because when you see how effective this is, even though it seems very simple, but how highly effective it is and how empowered you feel, because now you're excited to do those things and you know how much you're growing while you're doing them. Then you come into the world from a very different place and you approach the opportunities, tests, and challenges that life serves you with from a place of empowerment, from a place of being your best self, just as I suggested already. Be your best self today. Don't wait until one day when you have this title, you have this certificate, you have this house, you have this many clients, you have this amount in your bank account or whatever it is, right? Be this person today. Allow yourself to be this person today. Feel, think, and do as this person would do, as the best version of yourself would have done. You are already good enough as you are, and you are already that which you seek, meaning that it already lives within you. All you have to do is to allow it to unfold. Let this stay with you for a moment and think about this. It's already within you, right? Because you are brought with those gifts into this world to give them. So the gift is already there. All you need to do is to allow it to express itself, to unfold. So you just the stage for this gift to come out of. So the most magnificent stage or fertile soil that enables this gift, the seed of your gift to flourish into this blossoming flower. And one final thought I want to leave you with, that life is a growth-centric experience, and we are just here to learn, to grow, and to expand, and to unfold to our fullest potential. And when I say fullest potential, I want you to realize that there is no finish line into this. There is no destination that we can reach somewhere into the distance, right? The North Star is just something that we sail towards to have a destination to follow and sail towards. But no matter if you are a sailor, if you have some basic understanding of navigation, you can, again, you can be sailing towards the North Star, but eventually you go around the world once, then you'll go around the world twice, then 3 times and so on, but you'll never reach the North Star because you're not meant to reach the North Star. You just use it as navigation. So there is no finish line. Learn to enjoy this process. It's not about the destination, it's about the process, it's about the journey, it's about how you unfold and who you could become, right? Because the moment you stretch yourself to a certain level, there's a whole new level available to you, because again, all limitations are psychological, only psychological. They only exist as limiting beliefs, if there are any. And at this point, I hope we've removed quite a few of them and installed some new ones that definitely gives you wings to fly. So become very comfortable to live from this place of curiosity, of unknown, of always asking yourself this question: what is the next best version of myself? Like, I'm already reached this amazing level of being today, but what is the next best version? Because again, there is no finish line here. This is not a race where you're trying to cross a line, because again, we already destroyed the if-then model. It's not about if or then. Be this person today, but strive, inspire to be even greater, because you're not brought here to play average and to play safe and to sell yourself short and the rest of the world on your gifts, but you're here to bring your best self and to share your greatest gifts. So this is the final message I want to leave you with. Don't die with your song still inside you. I hope this was another very powerful and valuable talk and a time well spent for you. Please, if you haven't yet, scroll down below and sign up for my 5-day online challenge. I've created an amazing holistic transformation challenge that goes for 5 days and offers tremendous value, powerful tools, and transformation on top of all of the information. So please go and sign up. I also offer a complimentary 1-hour coaching session every person willing to take me up on my offer, during which we're gonna either help you to overcome your greatest challenge or take full advantage of your greatest possibility or opportunity in your life right now. I want to serve you powerfully and show you how powerful you are. So please go down below and book your complimentary coaching session and allow me to serve you powerfully. Also, I've created an amazing online community, the Personal Mastery Society on Facebook. The link is down below. Please join us. There's always amazing value. I share a lot of powerful tools and insights, and everybody's there to add value and to create relationships with like-minded people who are also in this game to grow, to play, to contribute, and to be the greatest version of themselves. So please, we'll be happy to have you there. Also, I have a number of workshops coming in starting in early July. So please, if you are here in Los Angeles or Santa Monica or nearby, join us. Come out, join us, and learn something amazing. The talks I'm recording today and before and coming up are addressing all of the workshops that I'm doing in person, just sharing some insights about those workshops over video rather than in person, so you can have you can make an educated decision if your time would be well spent by coming and spending some time with me and everyone else who joins us for the live workshop. So please, if you're interested, love to meet you in person, love to empower you, inspire you, and educate you in person. So please check out the upcoming workshops and sign up and come see us. And final, or last but not least, please, if you think that this video was wonderful, there was a lot of value, and it's definitely something that people can benefit from, please like it, please share it, leave me a comment. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Post a question, post a comment. Thank you again. Thank you for allowing me to serve you powerfully. Thank you for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.